If you knew you were enough, what would your life look like? What would love look like? This is the Enough Factor broadcast, where we're redefining what makes you enough in life and in love. Now here's your host, Suzette Birnard.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of my Enough Factor podcast. It's your life coach and relationship solutionist, Suzette Birnard, and we have a wonderful episode for you today. To all of those who tune in from week to week, a wholehearted Southern girl welcome. Because out of all the wonderful podcasts out there that you could be listening to right now, you decided to tune into mine, and that is pretty special. Now, if you're new, this podcast is all about one thing: helping you redefine what makes you enough in life and in love on your own terms. We do it by amplifying 3 critical factors. I call them 3 critical factors of enoughness: your voice, your value, and your vision. When your voice and vision are optimized, you're powerful in your life and relationships. That's why each week we turn up the volume. Helping me to do that today is someone who did that very thing for me about 9 years ago. She's none other than Katrina Monique Harrell. Katrina owned an award-winning strategic planning and business development firm for 12 years. Though successful in business, her emotional bondage had manifested into a physically challenging 200-pound weight gain. While releasing pounds of hurt and unhealthy habits, she also realized that her purpose extended beyond business success. It is to help people design a whole life that celebrates their unique design. Purpose met product in 2012 when she co-wrote a spiritual business manual titled How She Got Free. The following year, she co-facilitated a spiritual business retreat to further help women examine and resolve their misalignment with business strategy and emotional soul work. In 2020, she partnered with Raising Free People Network to launch the How She Got Free podcast to continue that work. An accountant, strategist, creator, entrepreneur, and best-selling author, Katrina often speaks on entrepreneurship, diversity and inclusion, personal leadership, among other topics. Originally from D.C., Katrina currently resides in Wake Forest, North Carolina, with her 2 children. So join me in welcoming none other than my friend, my forever coach, I am so tickled every time I talk to you, friend, Katrina Harrell. Welcome, Katrina.
Hey, thank you. I'm glad to be here. You're one of my favorite people, period. So anytime I get to just spend time with you and talk with you and just fellowship and build like we do, it's always a blessing. Always a blessing.
I feel the very same way. And I have been like grinning. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to talk to Katrina. And I'm going to get to share her with my listeners. I mean, oh my God, am I lucky or what?
Yeah. Yes. And I'm honored to be here because I don't know if you remember, but we had a moment where you were kind of part of my healing journey, in which I'm sure we may get into later, but you were a part of that, and your wisdom and insight, I've applied it, and I cherish it, and I thank you. So when you reached out to me, and asking if I could be here, I was like, yeah, because if you see in me what you see in me and believe that it will be of value to your audience, that is in part due to what you have poured into me and that I applied. So I thank you for that. And I'm probably just as grateful, if not more honored, to be here with you today.
Wow. Thank you. That felt so good.
Yeah, it's deserving. You deserve it today. You're one of my favorite people. Really.
See, we're not gonna cry on this, y'all. I'm just saying that right off the bat because I'm telling you, it becomes waterworks every time. But I'm gonna keep it together. Now, to start us off, I want to invite you into what I call truth and dare.
Okay.
Now, the good news is, it's not like the traditional truth or dare game. The bad news is you don't get to decide.
Okay.
With mine, you have to answer both questions. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here goes. What is a truth that your true self required you to see and dared you to take radical action on?
Okay. Whew, okay. So many things, really, so many things. But what comes up is probably more recently. So the truth that my true self forced me to see is that I am not made to work for someone else, that I am not an employee. I am not the worker. It made me realize that I need to step up and own my uniqueness as a leader and a boss, to be quite honest. And that is as wonderful as that sounds to people, like, yeah, why not? That was a thing for me that I had to really begin to settle in and accept as the truth. Believe it, believe it or not. And so the dare from that was I could never, ever go back to working for anyone else, or being in a space where, even outside of a relationship, even outside of rather of a working relationship, just all of my relationships, the realization that I have to own my uniqueness, my voice, my power, my strength, and dare to therefore walk in it and own every part of it, and therefore be accountable to myself for the results that I have in my life because of that. I cannot shrink back and say, well, it's easier for me to go back and do this, get a job, or find a man that this, and this, so that I don't have to be those things. I have to be these things. So I gotta take ownership of it and own that. So instead of resisting it, creates tension inside and creates this false sense of strength. But accepting the truth and walking in my power, my bossness, actually softens me up, because I'm releasing the tension now and I'm actually softer. So that was my truth. And I dared to start my own business again, go at 100% back out into owning my business, and even stepping 100% out into really being clear about what a relationship for me looks like now, when I'm not shrinking. I am.
See, when you said, in my owning being the boss and being all that I am, it makes me softer. Yeah. I've never, Katrina, heard a quote strong woman or a boss lady or any of those labels that we ascribe to strength and owning our power as being the doorway or the pathway into our true feminine power. That it doesn't make us masculine. It doesn't make us intimidating. It makes us softer.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm fascinated with that. How did you come to that? Because honestly, that's rare.
I think it's gradual over time. I think everything starts with awareness. And even like your question, your truth or dare question is even a question of awareness. And it's like, in order to really effectively answer that question, you got to look within. So when I look at my life journey, which has had challenges, every single aspect of it has required me to look within, examine what I see, and then find my truth, whether I like the truth or not. So like every experience I'm having, whether it's in dating or work or client, whatever it may be, family, at the end of the day, I'm the common denominator in every one of my experiences. So whether I'm getting a result that I want or not, I have to examine me as why I'm not getting the result. Mm-hmm. So that's number one. And then the other piece of it is, in doing so, part of those questions come up with like, whenever there's like, I feel resistance inside, and every one of us has that mechanism of something just you feel, even though you made a decision for something, you don't feel right about it. It feels hard. That's resistance. And I've learned that like resistance is not our natural state. Our natural state should be ease and flow. So having that truth and knowing that resistance is an indicator, but it should not be how we live. Flow should be how we live. Oh, okay. So if I'm feeling resistant, then there's still something I'm not understanding about this thing. So like going back to the working thing, working for someone, and I'm feeling resistance on the workplace. Like the money is good. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm utilizing my skills. I'm being recognized for it. I'm getting paid well, but I still feel this tension. I don't feel like I'm really being me. It's like, this is just not feeling right. So the process is like asking questions and like getting to your truth and challenging society's view of women feeling like if they are strong, then they have to be put in this category. Challenging that a little bit, like who came up with this? You know what I mean? Like we tend to have these either black or white things, buckets that we put women in, and it's like, and it's based on typically a man's perspective. Well, men think black and white most of the time. So, of course, a woman can only be this one dimension, and if she's only that, then she can't be that. So getting into this is like, well, am I supposed to like stop, having these desires and being intelligent and having ideas and knowing that something should be working better than it is and speaking up about it? Because in doing so, I'm being masculine? Or should I really examine what is feminine energy, right? Like, what is it? And what is masculine energy? And so like just a lot of just self-reflection and research and reading and understanding myself and self-awareness and realizing like, well, the truth is truth. If I go on somebody's job, I promise you, if you hire me as an employee, I promise you, this is the experience you're going to get. And if you're not ready for it, if you're not open to it, you're going to take it as a threat. And it's not going to be a good thing, because this is who I am. And my livelihood, I realized, like, cannot be tied into someone else's perception of me. Like I can't risk the way you see me to pay my bills and hope that you continue to see me some way, especially if I have to shrink. That's not going to work. So that's that. And then knowing that, and then for me saying, well, okay, when I look at like all other areas of my life where I don't have to be the leader in, I still have to be the leader of myself. So again, what experiences do I want to have? Because owning yourself and being a boss doesn't mean that you're outwardly masculine energy, pushing energy out. That's masculinity. Being a boss lady for me is being in my feminine energy and being receptive and drawing energy in. That's a softer energy. I'm still a boss, but I get to pull. I use feminine leadership. I use my feminine energy. I pull that in. And then there's times where I got to push out. I get it, but it's not all the time. And I think that's the misconception that boss lady, strong women have, is that it's always push. No, that's not. No. So when I say it made me softer, it made me realize that I'm the boss of me. Mm-hmm. So if this is an experience I want to have out of a job or out of a relationship or whatever the case may be, I'm a boss up, and I'm a boss and own me, and own my power and own my energy, and utilize it strategically in whatever scenario I may be in. And often, and so that makes me softer, because I may not have to even do anything. in certain scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
I may not even I don't have to push. I just stand in my strength, articulate it, and allow whatever it is to come. And that's work. That's not even like, I'm saying it, I'm making it sound so easy, but it's really just a life work.
It is a life work. And I think you've hit on something, because as you were talking, I started getting all these aha moments. And I was like, that is the difference. It's the difference in standing in your bossness versus trying to be a boss.
Yeah, yes. Yep.
Because when you stand in your power as the boss of your life, as the boss over what God has given you to oversee, there is a flow because you already have the authority. You don't have to vie for position. You don't have to compare yourself. You don't have to try to beat this other person. All you have to do is stand in the authority that you've already been given by virtue of you being gifted to do what you've been called to do. That's and right. I think the reason why people have that masculine overtone is because they feel like they have to be more than who they are. They don't have the confidence that who they are is enough.
Right.
So my ego requires me to push and to fight and to manipulate and to do all these different things, to put up barriers and walls, to not trust, to not have the fluidity in the flow, because I'm always afraid somebody's going to take what I have, because inside I feel like I'm an imposter. Because I don't know I'm enough. So I always feel like I'm an imposter, which segues into relationships, because you know that's my jam.
Yes.
Relationships are my jam. And I am, just like you, a very forward-thinking, self-actualized, brilliant, intuitive, thoughtful, empathic type of soul. And my insecurities, however, were suppressing it. So when I would go into relationships, I felt I couldn't bring who I really was to the table. I had to sit all that meat on the shelf and try to bring a persona that I thought would be pleasing to a man so he would not reject me or think I was too much. But here's the thing. It kept attracting Mr. Wrongs. In the absence of truth, you will believe a lie.
Wow, yes. Yes.
And because I did not know my value, that all that God had put in me and all of that was who I was supposed to bring to the table so that the right man would recognize me. I didn't know that. And so for so many years, I pretended to be somebody else, thinking that was the way to get somebody, because I didn't want to be alone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think you had put on your Facebook post about you were getting ready to go on a date or something, and you had not been on one for a while or something like that. But I sensed something different in you this time.
Yeah.
Talk about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem. I did go on a date, and what was so different about that experience was that, one, I knew the way that the gentleman showed up and my willingness to allow that energy to come in, like I was saying. It's like, so I met the gentleman the day that I quit my job. And there's a whole, even though I'm a business owner and I have been for years, I've in the midst of that have gone back to working for other people. That's a whole different story, whole nother podcast. So I had just had that, like, this is it. I'm owning my bossness, right? And that was my last day at my job. And I met the guy and, I was kind of like going through a lot of things of trying to transition from working for someone and getting settled, at home. And so I had decided to give him a call like 2 weeks after we met, because I was like, he probably think I'm not interested anymore. And so I called him and he was like, oh gosh, I was thinking about you, blah, blah, blah. And we were talking and stuff, and his energy is very masculine in the traditional sense of like, aggressive, not mean, not harsh, not disrespect, but just pursuing, like very intentional, very, this is what I want. This is who, and I knew I was ready because I didn't resist it. Like I was telling you, I'm a boss of me. And so I didn't fight his energy. I didn't try to figure it out. Like, what I just allowed, because I knew I deserved to have that type of energy in my life and in my space. And so I allowed that energy to come in. And so then in allowing it, like I said, I felt more relieved and softer and giddy and nervous about having a date with someone that I actually was like, he felt really good. It felt affirming and confirming to like everything that I desired. And like I said, in owning that truth. And the other part of it was like the work that I have been doing in relationships, because it was just like a roller coaster, child. And I had finally reached a place right before he even showed up that I was just like, I'm going to be more present in my dealings with everyone, but in particular in dating. I don't want to have expectations of like what this is. I just want to experience and enjoy it, and just be present and know what my boundaries are, and understand that this is still part of the healing process, but I've reached a new place of it. I reached a place now where I get to practice my healing and really just enjoy the now. And that's what, and so that now feeling was, I'm nervous, I'm giddy, oh my God. And I was just taking selfies because I was like, oh, and I was just so like, oh my God. And like legitimately nervous. And it felt really good. I felt like me, I just felt like me. And I never talk about dating on Facebook because in my previous dating experiences, it was coming from a place where I was still trying to figure out, I was still healing in that place of like trauma and I hate the word damage, but that's what it is. But just really being in a broken or hurtful place. And so I didn't feel, I don't want to talk about dating, it's not, I don't feel good about it. But I felt good about where I am and owning it and knowing that there's still places and pieces of healing I have to still uncover. But I feel so good about that process, and I'm excited about it, and I'm excited about having a healthy relationship that will allow that to happen. And that's what that was. And it's just like, oh my God, I'm so giddy, Yeah.
So cute. I was like, oh my God, Katrina is giddy. Okay, we're gonna have to talk about this girl at some point. that is exciting, and what I'm hearing, and I love so much about what you're sharing is you're getting to a place, like you said, because you're the boss of you. You're somebody who can be trusted because you've had to go through healing those areas where you couldn't be.
Yes.
To convince yourself, okay, I'm at a point now, I know myself. I know that I don't have anything to prove. Mm-hmm. I respect who I've become. So why wouldn't I bring her?
Yes.
Why wouldn't I bring this me? It's the real me. It's the God me. It's the liberated me. It's the me how she got free me.
She got free.
In 3D.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And my co-author, co-author sounds so like not even close to who she is to me, but for this, in the context of this conversation, my co-author Akila and I talked about that recently, of like, when we wrote the book, we were both in similar places of our lives. And that book is about us. It's not literally about us, but when we talk about it, we're like, oh, wow, like this book is about us. And we literally lived that book in our own parallel lives. This is how she got free, what she looks like once she finishes that journey that we describe in the book and what's the podcast as well. This is what that looks like. And it will look different for every woman, but the essence of what it looks like, this is what it is.
Yeah, because it's really getting back to self-trust.
Yes.
Isn't it? That's really, because I had to settle within myself that it wasn't the man. Okay, that man wasn't the right one, so maybe this one will be the right one. And it wasn't even about the man at all. It was about the dog whistle inside of me that kept signaling what I felt like I deserved because I didn't trust myself. And I was looking for him to give me evidence that I could be trusted. And how can somebody untrustworthy give you evidence that you can be trusted? So I had to become trustworthy.
Yeah.
So that the universe could recognize the energy pulse. Because one thing I know for sure, Katrina, and I know you know it too, no matter how much lipstick we try to put on our situation, we cannot fool the universe.
Oh gosh, no. No, ma'am.
We can't do it. I don't care how slick our marketing is. I don't care how together we sing. I don't care how articulate we are. I don't care if we have gone from the basement to the C-suite. I don't care if we know our purpose or we don't know it. When it comes to our intimate relationships, we cannot fool the universe. The universe is the cosmic waiter and always brings to us what we put out.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And when I met that gentleman, I knew that was happening. It was like, and what you just said was so interesting. It's like, again, it's that, and I'm no expert on feminine and masculine energy, but it really is that though. Like in our masculine energy space, we're thinking of, okay, who, what, who does it need to be? And our feminine energy is, who am I? Just who am I being? And we're attracted. And that's what the universe is responding to. Mm-hmm. And when I realized that, like, let me just continue to settle in who I am being, and I'll be able to recognize him as he shows up, and he will serve the purpose he's supposed to serve. And I don't want to be connected. So I don't feel like, for me, this might be different for other women, but for me, I don't want to be hung up on, well, are you my husband? And are you going to be this? And then you're going, I don't know. I just know I'm enjoying this experience. And like you said, I trust myself enough to know what my standards are and what my boundaries are, so that I don't have to be so hung up. I can just enjoy the now and what that looks like. Like, I have standards. Don't get me wrong. I know what I want, but I don't have to like just be so forceful of it. I can allow what's coming into me and say, no, that doesn't work for me. I don't know. Nah. Or just a hard no. No.
No chaser. Okay. Just no.
No.
Yeah. I don't have to explain to you. I don't have to convince you. I don't have to stay around until you get it.
That's right.
I don't have to take care of your feelings. I don't have to be responsible for how you respond or react. I can own my no. And that's the thing. I was talking to Robert about it the other day. Po man. Well, no, I won't say po man, but honey, we talk about stuff so much that might bless his heart. He probably could teach any course, host the podcast. I know he's like, girl, call your girlfriends, because I tell you, wear me out. But we were talking about how the whole thing about closure, that a lot of women are hung up on past relationships because they never got closure. And I was talking to my husband. I said, you know what? You know what gave me closure? And he was like, what? I said, when I realized I was enough, when I realized that I was I was, like you said, I had integrity with myself. I knew I was bringing my true, authentic self. Like you said, the giddiness, all of it, my sense of humor, my quick-wittedness, my love for life, my musicality, and my I want this and I don't want that. I brought all of that into the space. And for me, I didn't need any further closure because of the integrity that I already had. So that if that was not what that other person was looking for, then I didn't need them to say no a certain way, or why didn't he call to let me know that this was over, or I didn't need him to do anything or be anything different. That's because right. I didn't need his validation. I didn't need him to tell me what I did wrong. The only thing that I would have done wrong would have been to have not been myself.
Yep, exactly.
And you're right. When that becomes your focus, then you don't worry about, well, are we dating or aren't we? What are your intentions? Are you intending to marry me? What, you don't lead with that foot. You don't need that. You're able to allow the relationship to deepen organically. And when it becomes an insight to what your soul desires or what the divine in you is requiring, you speak from that.
Yeah.
But not assuming that every relationship that you have the pleasure of participating in is supposed to have a certain ending.
That's right.
I think, I'll be honest with you, as a church girl, I think the reason why I wanted things to end up marriage or end up committed was so that I could make up to me the times that I fell into sexual impropriety. If I can get a relationship out of this deal, then that means it wasn't for nothing. But after I've given you my body and then you don't want anything more, then I feel like, oh my God, what a terrible person I am. And I started realizing that when I gave myself permission, you know what? If I want to sleep with this person, I'll just go sleep with them because I want to. Let the chips fall where they may. But I am sick of trying to make amends to myself.
Yeah.
For something that I really wanted.
Yep. That you want. Then with that truth, then you process, I'll do it because I want to. And then you think, but do I really want to? Or why do I want to? Or do I want whatever consequence that's going to come for that? Do I want to feel like I'm going to feel knowing that this isn't? No, I don't want to feel like that. So then you own sex for yourself. And like, well, maybe you still will do it and deal with the consequences. Or maybe you won't because you don't want to deal with feeling like it was just the one thing. You do want more. And that becomes less about what other people think and just about, again, your own truth.
Letting your truth inform you.
Yeah.
And knowing it's reliable.
Yeah.
That you can be trusted.
Yeah.
I always admire so much about you, Katrina, because to me, you're one of the most courageous people I know.
Oh, thank you.
You truly are. You have made, you've earned trust with yourself because you have made some difficult decisions.
Yeah.
And own them.
Yeah.
You own them. You worked your way back to where you want to be. You've worked your way back to your own definition. And it's very courageous. This is why when you were talking about it and you were talking earlier and said, I make it sound easy. I said to myself, to anybody who's ever done self-work, they know it took a lot of work for you to be able to even say that with ease. Talk about the emotional and physical shedding of the weight and how you help other people to do that too.
Yeah, it takes courage. Like you said, it takes, I think a lot of us are afraid to confront, because we feel like we're going to lose something. We don't know what's on the other side of confrontation. So we would rather avoid it. And, for me, I feel like what that process is like, there has to be some truth that you are willing to believe until you can fully and truly trust yourself. So we're always choosing a truth to believe every day. We are living images of what we believe in to be true, every single soul. So it's like, what do you believe in? And when I found myself in the space of like being, just really morbidly overweight, and having physical reactions to that, and then emotionally just feeling like I don't like myself. I don't like what this former truth has led me to, the life that I have. I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. There's too much tension inside of me. I had to decide what truth that I want to believe. And for me, that took me into diving into my spirituality. So my emotional, stuff led me to diving into spirituality. And I grew up in the church too. I grew up Baptist in the church. But I was from a household where my mom did not force feed religion to me, even though we went to church, but it wasn't force fed on me though. And I thank God for her for that. It's one of the things she done a lot of great things, but that was one thing she did really well. She brought me into it, but she didn't jam me in, So anyway, I've always had an open mind to exploring different, ways of truth. How do other people get to God? And so reading the Bible, but then reading different other spiritual texts and having different friends that have different ways of communicating with God, I realized that like, if I'm to believe that the word of God is true, what's in the Bible is true. You said that this is true. So I'm reading it, and I'm reading all the things like Jeremiah 29:11. It says, I know the plans I have for you. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. And I'm also reading stuff from like Abraham Hicks and non-religious people. And I'm just reading these things, and I'm like, oh, if this is all true, why don't I just decide to believe it? And so in deciding to believe that truth led me to finding my own, because we have to believe in something. So I wanted to dismantle the old truth that said that things have to be hard. You got to struggle. You got to work. You get a good job, and owning a business is hard. I mean, all the lies that we've been taught that was not working for me. I said, let me try somebody else's truth and just see if it will work. And I chose to believe it and let it work in me through courage until it helped me realize like, oh yeah, this is actually what I believe. This is true for me. And then owning it. So that's what that path for me looks like. And in anything that I do, in any way that I engage with anybody, my children, friends, clients, doesn't matter. I always want to get down to the truth. Like, what is it that you really believe? And then what do you actually want? Like, what do you want? Because I don't believe that people really know what they want. They know what they think they want, which is based on what people have told you what you want. But we've been taught to not really want what we want, because to want what we want may not be good. It might not be acceptable. It may look weird. People are going to talk about you. But if that's what you want, if you don't live your truth, you're living out of integrity of God's design. We don't want that. So let's get into that, because the truth of who you are, you're probably going to like that person a whole lot better than the person that you're being right now. In fact, I know you're going to love that person. She or he is probably the best person. Every friend that you ever thought you had in life, you will become your own best friend, because you will fall in love with the truth of who you are. And so that's it. And so even in talking about business, I want to know, well, why do you care? Why does this matter to you? And sometimes people realize, I don't know. I realize this ain't really what I want to do. What I really want to do is that, and then do it. Let's talk about that. Because this is the final thing I'm going to say. Another reason why some of us are afraid is because once we accept the truth, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. It's easy to know what to do under someone else's guise of what your life should be. But when it's your truth, ain't no blueprint for your uniqueness. No blueprint. So this is where I come in. If I can get you to be courageous enough to accept who you are and what you really want, maybe I can help you write out a strategy. If I gave you a blueprint that's yours, would you therefore be willing to walk into who you are? And if you say yes, let's go. If somebody gave you a blueprint and it's yours, it's not a template, we just gonna figure it out. And that's what I've had to do. I've realized that that's my spiritual gift.
That's your superpower, girl. That's your superpower, sure.
I can see all the mess and I can say, all right, let's come up with a plan. And all you need is courage to walk the plan out. Courage and some friends. A therapist might help too, but walk it out. Whew. That's the work. That's what my life challenges are for, so that I can say to someone else who's in the challenge, here's a strategy. Here's how you tap into who you are. I say this to myself a lot. I don't say it out loud, but I really don't have an attachment to like what you want to be. Like, I don't care. It's your life. You can change it I'm not attached to, are you still doing the thing that I coached you on? That's the only way I can prove success. I don't care. That's not what this was about. It's about who you want to be and unlocking your courage and all the pieces and all the things so that you can do it and you can change it tomorrow and it's going to evolve. But I'm made for this. Whatever this is, I'm made for it.
If you can tell our listeners how to get in contact with you and what you want their final takeaway to be from our conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you for letting me be here, first of all. And I appreciate that. So, a takeaway. There is nothing in your design that is false, that is unnecessary, and that should be discarded. That you get to take all the pieces of who you are, and it requires all the pieces of who you are to actually manifest the life that God has for you and that you desire for yourself. So trust your desires. Trust all the pieces that you are. And how people can contact me or reach me now, I would be so grateful if people would follow me on Instagram at How She Got Free. It's exactly how I said it, How She Got Free. If you would follow me there, I will follow you right back and would love to engage and learn about everyone that's in this community.
Fantastic. And I'll have all the links in the show notes. Thanks again, Katrina. And y'all know how I like to leave it. I don't care what you've been through in your life. I don't care what you're facing. I want you to know that you are worthy, you are worth it, you are more than enough. Bye.
You have just listened to the Enough Factor podcast with your host, Suzette Vernon. To get notified of new episodes or to dig deeper into today's topic, become a subscriber. And while you're at it, tell us how we're doing and what topics you're interested in. We appreciate your feedback and your reviews. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are worth it, you are enough.